Now
You
that
could.
would
You
be
can have him come
service.
here, take
That
your
would be
measurements
service.
here.
Gentlemen, we are
Yes.
live.
All right.
Mr. Meller, D. Meller, Mr. Francois.
The Miller.
He's
Oh, you
already.
made- you
He's
fixed it, it's
already.
fixed?
We're live, baby.
Yep. So Mr. Francois is speaking about the blinds being fixed on live national TV. So that's great. So subject today: do
Investing.
brokers invest in? Should brokers invest in real estate, and if so, at what stage? So I'm throwing the questions to you guys.
So I'm
What do
going
you
to say,
think?
what's the definition between investing
Mm.
and speculating?
Oh Lord.
No, because I think there's a misunderstanding of what investing means. Like I hear a lot, and I'm going to maybe clarify. I hear a lot of brokers saying, "Oh, I'm doing flips or I'm getting into flips." For me,
That's
and I
not
think the
investing.
definition of flipping is not. It's Google it.
Have you ever
It's
flipped?
speculation. I have, yes.
You have flipped,
Yes.
and it was a disaster.
No, it was not a disaster. It was
Because
a
I would
success.
expect it to be a disaster if you say that it's
No,
speculating.
no.
So you
and-
speculated?
Yes, I speculated because
you
I
didn't make
thought
your
that
money
was
when you bought?
investing, but it's not investing.
So when do you make your money? It's in when you buy or when you sell. He's
You make
thinking.
your what's the,
When do you make your
when
money?
you sell it?
When
Because
you sell.
as I buy it, it's an expense. It's again, it's like buying. I bought my lotto ticket, and I hope the odds are better than buying a
Yeah,
lottery
but your
ticket. But
purchase is done at a low. It's if you make
you're
your
not
purchase,
making money, baby.
if
You
you
make
make
money when the return comes, and the return only comes when you sell. And the selling is speculating because by the time you sell it, the market could change. The buyer, the house could collapse, could burn down while you're doing the renos. It's speculation.
you know what? When I flipped houses, the market was at a bottom.
But what if we talked about
It was at a bottom.
personal situations, which you
No, but I'm
because
I'm giving an example.
no,
It
but
was at a
maybe
bottom.
because you had a personal experience that was enjoyable for you, and you had success
Yeah,
on
but
the small with your own personal. Like I'm talking about on a large scale. If we took everybody that speculated in flips, is that investment? What's the definition of an investment? Can someone Google it, please? We're 17 in here. Someone could check it out. And so while we wait for the definition,
while we
Mike,
wait for definition, speculating would be coming up with a prediction to say that this is going to be worth this much at this given time, right? If you buy a property that's undervalued, right, and you're able to calculate your cost of what it's going to, and you can compare it to other properties that are being sold, just like when you do with comparables. Is comparables speculation?
hell yeah.
It's a speculation?
99% of the time, you're going to be wrong with that, right?
Not really.
And that's actually, if we want to stick to that for a sec, I always say, don't commit to the price. I know brokers, they go in and they're like, you're going to net $323.52 after that. That's the biggest mistake in the world because you cannot know what the buyer is going to want to offer and what the seller is going to accept. It's shooting yourself in the foot.
But it's pretty close. I mean, if you look at the past 3 months, you look at homes in the past 3 months in a certain area, you're going to notice that the prices are pretty similar. And then somebody will come in and then they'll pay more for the last one. And then the other one's going to look at the last one before they market their house. I mean, it's usually what they're going to do. Now, you're going to say it's speculation. Perhaps.
An investment for me would be to buy a revenue property and hold on to it for a substantial amount of time, and it's generating some revenue or some passive or some cash flow. I'm not doing the management myself. Again, that's a solid investment. I think. Do we have?
I have the definition here.
Go.
So we have Steve Thacker first of all that says he's completely disagreeing with you. He says you make your money when you buy. So that's the number one. Thank you, Steve, a lot. So we have here there are apparently, well, not necessarily two definitions, but they
Go with the
complete
first
each
one.
other. So the action or process of investing money for profit or material result. Number one, for what is investment? And an investment is an asset or item acquired with the goal of generating income or appreciation.
That could be short term or long term.
It
Sure.
doesn't say that. But
No,
thank you, Mike, for adding that on to the.
I'm just saying.
What is speculation then? Let's Google that.
Steve Thacker answered that question
Wow,
right now.
okay,
No,
okay, okay.
he posted and before you even asked the question.
Let's
which
go
is
for
kind
it.
of scary. He says that investing is a long-term hold and speculation is a short-term hold.
Okay.
So that's what I was saying.
Sure.
Okay,
Was
but
it?
hold on.
So,
Can you speculate long term?
but no,
How can you not?
because this
What
Steve Tacker said
define
you
short
can't.
term and long term? Define short term and long term. Is short term a year or two, or is long term 20 years?
What's life about, Mike? So going back to the original question you were asking, should we invest in real estate as real estate brokers?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want to hear Steve, whoever's watching us right now, what do you guys think? Do we have anybody that yes, go
So
for it.
Jeff is now saying that investment can be short-term or long-term and says I agree with Mike 100%. So
Thank you,
you're
Jeff.
on the short part of that straw today.
No, but let's go back to the original topic. So should we
Yeah.
buy real estate? Who's got an opinion on that? Whoever's watching.
I'd say for investment, while we're waiting
Yeah.
for the answers here, investment wise, as you start in real estate, or I would say even the first 3 to 5 years, I'd say invest in yourself. I think that's the biggest investment you can make because I can invest in real estate. I made a huge commissions for the first few years. I dump everything in, and I don't think about my marketing. I don't think about my knowledge, even my appearance in some state, and that could actually sink me, I believe.
So
as
to
a
put
broker.
everything into you first until
Yeah.
you hit a certain level of comfort
Yeah.
in your business or in your revenues or some stability maybe or sense of control. And then
Sure.
after that, go into to putting that excess revenue that you were able to create on demand in control into a
But do you say stability or a sense of success?
stability.
Okay.
Stability and control. I think control is success.
Yes,
Okay.
because you love control.
I love control. I
We
want to
know that.
control everything, and that's another topic we should talk about. If you want to add that to the list, I'm full of topics today. Micromanaging. Should
Micro
you?
versus macro?
No, micromanaging. You should. That's the topic. In poor English, yes, please. Micromanage. So until you have that control over your result of your client acquisition, you're in control of the desired outcome of your business, of the revenues. Do not go and invest because if you're not in control, that means your revenues could be up and down and unpredictable. So if you go take that money, put it into an investment, you might have to just cash out. It's not a bad thing. I just think that if I had to redo it again, I would go down the road of Mark Cuban, who says just invest everything into one place until you have full control and full mastery of, which in my case is my business, myself, my knowledge, as you say, and I want to invest in me and my knowledge of what I'm doing until I become a master. Once I'm a master, I take the proceeds that I was able to generate through mastery. I want you guys to call me master now.
I could see that.
And then I will go and invest into a vehicle like real estate or more businesses that will generate what?
More income.
Passive. Very important. Passive income.
I have a big question for you now that you're saying all this. So basically, as Steve Thacker is opening the door to that, and I'll ask you the question. So he's saying that,
Passive income.
yes, but we're gonna talk about that. Too many variables in the long term speculation. I suggest brokers buy real estate, and he says Gab is talking about cash flow, and that brings me to my question. You're talking about passive income. He's talking about cash flow. If now that we're really in the subject of investing into real estate, right? If that's really the subject today, are you making your money in real estate from passive income of getting your rent every month or from refinancing? Because that's really the two main worlds that investors are in, real estate investors. What do you
Monsieur
guys think?
Francois?
What do you mean exactly?
It
Am I
can't be
making
more
my- no, but you
clear
said,
than this.
Am I making my money from cash flow or refinancing?
Are you looking to make your money by
Yeah.
investing in real estate,
Right.
by refinancing your properties to
Right.
then expand, or by having the passive income of the property? What should be the main goal of where you get your money from real estate investment? And that's a question for everybody.
That it depends. I mean, it would depend what kind of market I'm in. It would depend on how much equity I have. Like all these things would come into
There's
play.
many variables, but also it depends on the objective of the individual. What do
Wow.
they perceive as? Because I know a lot of people that own a lot of real estate, but they're not mortgaged, they're not leveraged at all. Like they're all paid out, and I'm thinking, why? Like
So-
for
yeah.
me, because I would want to leverage everything that I've got to keep
So you're
growing.
thinking
and to-
about more about the refinance
right.
to then grow.
well, no,
To
I'm
use
thinking-
that to your advantage to
of
grow
course,
more.
because that's the whole point for me to have a business and or a real estate asset is to leverage it so that I can for tax purposes, but also for
Mhm.
uh,
growth.
for the growth.
Yeah, because maybe that person that doesn't have the mortgage and has maybe 20, 30 doors says, well, look, I'm getting 25,000 a month.
It's
And
the
I'm good
sense
with
of
that.
security, yes. But this person, if I may say so, could take all of the properties that they have, leverage that all, and double, quadruple, actually quadruple their worth, and then have 3 times more revenues, passive revenues, because they don't they're scared of the risk.
Exactly.
Well, if you risk nothing, you get nothing.
True.
Period.
But that again, like you said, Mike, it just depends on the objective of the individual. It depends on the risk toleration. Is that even a word?
Yeah, risk tolerance.
Tolerance,
Yeah.
toleration. So it's going to come into play. Do we have any comments, questions?
So yeah, so right before we go to our crown video, I'm assuming here that's I was gonna say because Steve, I'm pretty sure there was some autocorrect that was there. I'll still read the original first because it's pretty cool. So it depends on how Hulu you are leveraged,
Yes.
and he wanted to say how high you are leveraged.
Yeah.
So very true, very true. So we're gonna take a moment just to speak about our crown video. So Mela Group is now also in new construction. So we're going to be showing you a quick video with the details, and we'll be right back.
I have another topic. Crown project.
About the crown, everybody knows about the crown.
Good.
It's
And
our
what to
crown
do-
jewel.
And what to do with the leads that come in. So, Mike, let's go
100%.
back to your favorite topic, cash
sir.
flow.
Yeah.
How do you generate? Can you generate cash flow right now? Is there real estate properties right now that generate cash flow if you put down the bare minimum cash portion of the purchase?
Depends on what market you're in.
No,
I mean,
this market right now.
Yeah, but I mean, depends what market you're in. If you're in the Montreal market, or you outside of Montreal, like depending where you are. I think that if you go further outside the city, you might get better deals than if you stay in the city. If you stay in the city, I don't think, unless you put a lot of money down, I don't think that you're going to be able to generate much, in my opinion.
What do you think, Gabriel?
I wasn't listening.
I was talking about cash flow. Is it even possible to generate cash flow right now with the current state of the market?
I would say yes.
If
but
you're,
maybe,
excuse me to clarify, if you're putting the minimum down cash flow.
sure, but I'd say it's about maybe 5% of the time, because that's pretty much the ratio of the I make my money when I buy kind of deal that you get in this kind of market. Plus, we can't forget that it's mostly the single family homes and even some condos and so on that are getting the biggest hit, and it's overvalued and so on. But revenue property are still
I don't
some are
know about
crazy, but revenue
I
properties
don't know about that.
ratios wise.
Listen, if I go to St. Leonard and I'm looking at a duplex that costs 1.2 million,
Yeah.
how much am I supposed to charge rent for these 2 units? In
No,
order
but-
for me,
So that
in
would
order
be
for
an
me to
example.
generate cash flow.
No, I'm not saying that all income properties are good, but I'm saying that you're going to have more chances of getting a good deals numbers wise on an income property than on a single home, because it comes back to
Well, not
inventory.
necessarily the duplex, triplex, fourplexes are.
Or at least the second you hit your 5 doors, 100%.
That's why, because most people want to live in those twos
Exactly.
and threes and fours, and that's why it bumps the price up, Mike, as you're saying. So it's not impossible, but it's going to get trickier.
So we have more comments, and this is a hot subject. We have a lot. Steve is into it. Jeff is into it. Everybody is into it. So basically, Steve was mentioning when we were talking about leveraging,
Yeah.
right? If you have everything, he's saying that if you can't service the loans in the event the market shifts, you could lose a fortune too. An example, rates for starters. He's saying no, not right now, not in today's market. For the whole, can you get a good deal? Can you get cash flow out of a deal if you put the bare minimum? Jeff is not necessarily approving. He's saying that way harder, but yes, still possible. And Steve is coming back with, I disagree. I don't think you can produce a positive cash flow with a minimum 5% down. But
No,
at the
well,
same time, it's more 20%, right?
Yeah,
for
it'd
the
be
investments.
closer to the 35-ish too. Also, depending on the type of properties, the size, the number
Sure.
of doors, and this and that. Jeff is an owner of many doors, so I think his opinion is important, and I'm happy he's writing that. But
Sure.
Hey, if anybody's looking for any types of opportunities, we'll take this moment to say just reach out to us because we have close to 200 brokers now,
Mhm.
and some just specialize in that kind of real estate. So there's always an opportunity. Just it might be a bit harder to find. I have to say though that the interest rate, even though it's going up a bit, it's still extremely low. Like relatively speaking, in the world of business or in the world of the last 50 years, it's still extremely low, and the cost
True.
of borrowing is still extremely cheap. If you compare it to a year ago, then yes, it's higher, and so it's all in the perspective of the thing. I'm still borrowing a ton of money because I still think that the cost is really cheap, and I think it's a great opportunity to grow and to scale right now. When it hits the 18%, if it ever does, then I won't have the same opinion. But right now,
Well, I think it'll curve before it hits 18%.
of course, I
Very
don't see it.
largely.
No, it hasn't in the
Yeah.
last 20 years. But I'm just saying,
Well, it's okay. In any case, Mike is fully invested in Bitcoin, so it's not going to affect him much. He's going to be
Bitcoin
riding
is
the
going
wave.
down to zero.
I don't know about that.
Bitcoin is going down to zero. That is a
They've been
bold
saying that
statement.
since
One of
2012.
the biggest Bitcoin holder, who's a billionaire, and I forget his name now. I sent you the video. He was being interviewed on CNBC, and I sent you the thing.
Yeah.
Did you listen to it?
Yeah, but it's FUD.
See, they don't want to listen to the
They'll
experts.
say that everybody cashes out, so they buy it cheaper and they own more.
I disagree. But anyways,
How
what
much
do I know?
Bitcoin do you have? It said.
Zero, and I wouldn't. I agree or understand the blockchain, and for sure this is coming to contracts and everything we do actually. But to go into the currency, not yet. Not for
You
me.
know that there's some countries that already consider it. Or actually, one country
Sure.
already has it as legal
Yes.
tender, and there's more countries. There's actually a summit this week where they're
Zimbabwe, I think.
Zimbabwe. No, it's El Salvador.
El Salvador.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got that wrong.
Yeah. South America.
Close enough.
But
Stephen was very
there's
offended.
other countries in South America that are considering it, and with the inflation coming up, like
You know what I'm considering?
What?
I don't think we can say that on
I'm
TV.
considering a wig. Does that make me?
A wig.
Seriously speaking,
Yes.
the U.S. dollar is so strong right now compared to other currencies that some of these countries won't have a choice. And if the inflation continues the way it is, it's going to affect one way or another.
So I'm going to this conference about crypto in real estate. Mike, you're going to come with me,
Yeah.
and I will come back with some
Concrete
some
information.
opinions on that. Then
Hopefully, we
We'll
have
see.
more information because now Steve, all Steve can say is, "Oh no, Mike, not Bitcoin." So very deep comment.
so let's go back to the original topic: investing in.
Yes.
Should we? I strongly believe that everybody needs to invest in themselves
Yes.
first and foremost before investing in anything else.
How do you invest in yourself? It's in.
Wait, before I think I answer that question,
Sure.
we have another question.
Yes, I have a question. How can new brokers invest in themselves and also gain passive income starting into the business?
Well, you can't in the beginning. So that's a good question. In my opinion, how the hell can you do that? You can't do two things. You got to, again, go all into your
Mhm.
investing in you first until you master something. And then you can diversify to get passive. What's the definition of passive income too? But you had a question before I answer that, no?
Yeah, I was continuing on your points. I was asking you how. What was the question? It was you were talking about investing in yourself, and I
Yeah.
say, how do you invest in yourself? So what does that mean? Because it's a very general term. Invest in yourself. Or are we talking about health? Are we talking about appearance? Or am I knocking out the cameras?
Well, we're talking about
So-
first. I think what we're talking about, we're all pretty much whoever's watching right now is self-employed. So the first thing would be to increase your knowledge of what it is to be self-employed and to
Okay.
master certain things that pertain to self-employment. And the hardest part of being self-employed is the client acquisition part.
Okay.
So invest in that first until you gain full control over that part, which sounds super simple, but it's extremely hard and it's time consuming and it's long. But you're not born with any of this knowledge, so you have to take the steps to go and self-employ. For most, you've been an employee, so you didn't have to worry about that, right? You took care of the after that part. So first things first, that's the thing I would go into.
Client acquisition. Should you learn also the other parts of the business, the financials, the accounting parts?
Great point. So financials is also an extremely important thing, because you do not operate your finances the same way you do your personal when you're self-employed or when you have a business. I think that's something that we never talk about. That's something that I had to learn again on my own. But I had, my father, of course, and other people that own businesses that gave me some information or helped me out quite a bit with my knowledge. But how many brokers do you know operate in a more of their financial parts of their business as a more of a business?
Not much.
I can't name one that I've had a chance to meet and discuss, and they wouldn't talk in the same way as they run their businesses, their revenues, their expense as a personal expense, and it's completely, well, not wrong, but doesn't help.
It should be addressed a lot more.
Yes,
a lot sooner than we think. I believe people and brokers are starting to think about this when they start making money, and they're like, oh, well, it's been a few years I make money, but they're like, oh, but you don't do this, you don't do that, and they're like, oh, I never thought about it. Nobody ever told me about this. This should be day one. How to acquire exactly, how to acquire clientele, how to take care of your money.
And when we talk about client acquisition, we're not talking about cold calling and door knocking here, just to clarify, because I think some people will be like, well, I don't want to do cold call, or I do cold call and I get my clients. That's not a system. That's you exchanging time for money, and that's you just banging out calls. It's going to work. Like the rotary phone still works if I want to make a call. But is that between that and the iPhone that's going to do a multitude of other things other than just making the call? That's what I'm talking about for the acquisition part.
That's a great point. So, gentlemen, always a pleasure. Great subject. A lot of heated discussions. I'm sure it's going to continue probably for tomorrow. Constructive. No, heated is not bad, I believe, but it's
it's emotion.
I'm happy. It's emotion, as it's.
And we know Mike has a lot of emotion. He often shows us his emotions, yes, which is good.
Emotion is good. Etienne is the only one dead inside. So on this point, we're going to leave you with our Apple contest video. Unless we have another comment here. Yes, one last comment here from Steve that says, I run my finances like a business. Wouldn't have it any other way.
There you go.
So great closing word. Thank you so much, Steve. One of our very loyal brokers here at Mela Group.
And very successful.
Very true. So we'll leave you with that video, and we will see you all tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.
Apporte une valeur de 10 000 $, restez à la forte croissance. Pour chaque like, j'aime, partage, commentaire,